there's a new trailer out for Infinity War.
Oh, yes.
Man, and this
10
has
years.
this
10
has to be one of the
years.
best ones. I feel like for the film. It's a great trailer.
I'm not gonna lie. I was at after seeing it on the morning. What was it? Friday? Because Friday is when it came out. Yesterday. Wow, that was.
Hasn't been out
yesterday.
that long, yeah.
Yeah, just yesterday.
Yeah.
Woke up. What? They released it 3:00 a.m. Eastern time. Excuse me.
6.
Yeah.
6 our time.
Yeah.
Obviously. So I woke up about 20 minutes later, and then all of a sudden, which the Russos, if you've been following social media, the Russos have been teasing, and even the Marvel accounts have been teasing about a new Infinity War trailer. And after that, I literally was at the car dealership getting my car repaired and worked on, and I had to watch that trailer at least 10 more times to kind of pick it at the screen. And I was one of the first things I saw after my, I think, second watch was the Black Order. We have Proxima Midnight, Cullib City, and a beautiful, beautiful, haunting, scary shot of Ebony Maw in that trailer. I mean, there's just so much going on in this trailer. There's just to pick on, and I've waited. This is 10 years in the making.
Yeah.
As a big fan of the MCU, this is.
You have Star-Lord going toe-to-toe with Tony Stark.
Yeah, the funny comments between them, and
Yeah.
just like, I joked around that, he mentioned, I have a plan. If my plan is implemented, it's better than yours. And I'm just thinking in my head, yeah, sure, you have only 12% of a plan.
I'm just so curious in this film, like, how they're going to manage so many big egos being in the same space.
All the
like,
sass.
Oh my gosh. I mean, The Avengers was enough, like those films enough, but now that you have all these other characters from all these other newer films coming in, like,
I would have loved to be in the room with all the directors, James Gunn, the Russos, even the Whedon crew on that. Just Coogler as well too. Just be in the room and see what their minds are like, just putting this film together and having all the characters relate. I mean, we see, compared to the first trailer that was released, we saw a lighter side of the Avengers.
Yeah.
Right? So, and we just see that introduction of Thanos, that he brings out some destruction. But it was not until this trailer that we see a huge contrast into that, where it's predominantly Thanos. And you see all the Avengers just being decimated left and right from, his involvement with all this.
Yeah.
Any theories, guys? Any theories?
Well, that's what I was going to bring up is, based on the trailers that we've seen so far, do we think that they're going to kill off any of these characters?
Yes.
Yes. That's a definite yes. That's a definite yes.
Any predictions for who?
Captain America and Loki.
Oh,
I was going to say
man.
Loki.
Yeah.
Wow.
Loki.
And
I
Cap.
was,
Loki's going to be out in the first 10 minutes. You heard it here first.
Dang.
That's my prediction. I think what we saw at the end of Thor, when Thanos realizes that Loki's got the Tesseract, he's done.
Yeah.
He's done right then. Because you notice we don't really see him in any of the trailers beyond, not a whole
You're
lot.
right.
You don't see him on the planet.
You're right.
You know
And
who
I
else
think-
we didn't see in the trailer was Hawkeye. I was like,
Yeah, that's a
That's one thing I
thing,
was really,
right?
like-
Everybody's been talking about how they're having a hard time, like, he might not be in this film.
does that mean he's
well,
safe then?
okay.
maybe?
On the Marvel page, and the Russos have said that Clint is on his own journey, and I'm actually disappointed that they don't feature Hawkeye, Clint Barton, as a prominent character. Now, a lot of fans are like, he's just a useless Avenger. He just got bows and arrows with no superpower. But
I love the arc with him and Black Widow, though. Like,
their history.
their history together and how those two characters relate to each
Well,
other.
and
that's my favorite.
And I think after what they showed us in Avengers 2 with his family, that they may let him live through this film, and he's with his family at that point, and have someone that they can bring back for the next one, because this, I don't think, is going to end on a happy note. So, there's going to be something they need to come back for the next Avengers, and when they're building the new team, that might be the way that he carries over, because maybe it's not very realistic for a non-powered character to live through this.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the way they gave him an out.
I hope that they kind of at least. My hope with him is that they kind of bring him in as a surprise character, like they did in Age of Ultron.
Oh, that'd be great.
As well too, just something to the rescue. And obviously with Hawkeye, we haven't even seen any Ant-Man 2.
That's another
As
one.
Oh,
well,
it's
yeah.
true. Yeah.
And of
Um,
course, you have the Ant-Man sequel film coming out, and
Right.
Ant-Man and
right
the Wasp.
after.
in July.
But
Yeah.
we've seen photos of Ant-Man on the set for the next Avengers, so we
True.
do know that they're probably saving him in some way.
That makes sense.
So
And that makes sense because they obviously, I think they're going to want that sequel film, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and to kind of revitalize interest in him before
Right.
they have him appear in another Avengers film. Because it's been a while since that first film.
I wonder. Okay, so just a little thought about into this. There was that whole scene in Ant-Man where he was talking about both Hank Pym and Scott Lang were talking about him going subatomic, and that all reality, all time doesn't exist. I wonder if Ant-Man, despite how small he is, will have a bigger, more prominent role, because if we're dealing with the Infinity Stones and knowing that there's the reality and Time Stone and space, and we're still waiting for the presence of the Soul Stone, if he's actually going to play some part into it and he's able to alter some type of reality or something like that, breaking into
That would be
from
cool.
subatomic.
That
I
would
think
be
that would
cool.
be an awesome thing, because you have Ant-Man, who is sort of a lesser Avenger.
well, and if you think about it, in the MCU, he's not even on the team.
Right.
You know, they brought him in for Civil
Civil
War,
War.
but he wasn't on the new team.
He was recruited by Cap via Hawkeye.
Yeah.
And that could be why you don't see Hawkeye, because they're all in hiding at this point. Cap comes out of hiding for this, but that doesn't mean everybody else will.
Right. I wish we could show this on our live feed about this fan poster that was made.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Shout out to this great parody artist, as well as a great artist overall, Boss Logic, online, who just put Clinton Barton all over for each and every character on the Avengers Infinity War poster, which was great. And even somebody else had put the original. Somebody had theorized that it was the original poster, plus it's actually a fold out.
Oh
where
my
the
God.
bottom half
It keeps
was
going.
just enormously a huge part of Clinton Barton. And I love this. I love this with the fans who are just really getting into
Yeah.
it and with all the excitement.
Yeah.
That scene with Gamora,
Mm.
young Gamora, like more background into her. That'll be interesting to see as well too.
It's
But-
good, and it's also great too. Coming off of the humongous success of Black Panther, this trailer had focused a lot on the characters that are coming from Wakanda as well, and that's fantastic because this, in a way, will feel kind of like
Black Panther 2.
Black Panther 2,
Right.
Just like the Captain America and Avengers storylines have interwoven very, very, very closely, and so that's great. And by the way, that's awesome that Black Panther did so well.
I
that's
over
fantastic.
$1 billion.
That's amazing.
Over $1 billion. The first
And
Marvel movie to
there's
reach over
so
$1
much
billion.
there's so much buzz about it. I honestly feel like maybe other than maybe just that first Avengers film in 2012, and maybe even more than that, like there's more cultural buzz around Black Panther than maybe any other Marvel movie. Like the people are still constantly talking about it, constantly referencing it. Like just when I'm going to like various things in the industry, like people are still talking about it, making jokes about it, weeks later.
Yeah.
Like it's a huge cultural phenomenon, and that's fantastic because we need more movies like that.
Well, that, and also it's just good for the MCU in general, and
Yeah.
that people have been talking about when is the superhero fatigue going to hit, and these movies
Yeah.
are going to start to drop off. And I think that what we're seeing here is the fact that this movie did so well and he's featured so prominently in the next is it will bring a new groups of people who haven't been into
Definitely.
the MCU, and they're not fatigued. They're not
Definitely.
sick of this. So that for those of us that are loving it, this will keep it going for
Yeah.
quite some time.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest arc for everybody in the new Avenger, or the new phase, the next phase of the MCU, will be Captain Marvel, and Captain Marvel will definitely be that anchor character who will
Yes.
carry on the new MCU along with Black Panther. Black
Yeah.
Panther had already set the tone for what's to come in terms of and how it affects today's culture. Even radio nowadays is mentioning. They're even saying a cultural phenomenon
Yeah.
in their reviews, and
Yeah.
that's definitely it. That's
Yeah.
that's definitely the reflection of the times, reflection of the type of characters that we need.
Yes.
More diversity and all that. So
Afrofuturism.
Yeah.
Like fantastic. It's not something we've seen a lot of, but the world needs it for sure.
did you guys already buy tickets?
I haven't bought mine
Yes.
yet, but you have.
You knew that, I think.
With the exception of Star Wars, I never buy my tickets early.
Yeah.
A movie that big will have so many showings that I'll be able to just walk up maybe an hour before and
Browse it.
take my pick.
I actually,
I'm not that worried.
yeah, and it's still going to be on for a while, especially if you want to view it in IMAX or Dolby Cinema. For me, I'm going all out on this.
Nice.
And I'm joining that special
You doing
event by Nerdist.
Awesome.
I bought my ticket for that
awesome.
with a group friends of mine. So strangely enough, the AMC was putting out 31 hours, but the one that's being shown, the marathon that's going on at the El Capitan, is only 11 movies.
Okay.
So it's 20 something hours.
What are they
I
leaving
believe.
out?
I don't know. I don't
Okay.
think they've listed the films yet.
Got it.
For the
Thor
marathon.
2, maybe.
Yeah.
Probably Hulk.
Iron Man 3.
I
Probably
bet you they
Hulk.
leave out Hulk.
Oh,
it
yeah.
doesn't. I think they'll probably include things that are really
Relevant.
tied to leading up to this story, and
Yeah.
Hulk's not going to have a whole lot.
So
of
definitely
tie.
That
we
makes
can-
sense.
Definitely we
Thor
can-
2 is another good point.
Yeah.
What obviously the first Captain America because the Tesseract's in
Yeah.
there.
That needs to be there. I think Doctor Strange probably
Age of
will be in there.
Ultron.
Yeah.
They
They might leave out Ant-Man, potentially.
Maybe.
It's
I don't
possible.
know.
Yeah.
I don't have a list.
Yeah,
of
they probably did go through and look at anything that's affiliated with an Infinity Stone. It's going to have to be in this,
Yeah.
but the rest could
Yeah.
be left out.
Didn't the Dark World have an Infinity Stone?
You're right.
Oh,
You know
so
what?
I
It
was
did.
gonna say-
They are
It did.
gonna have
It's
that.
going to have to have Thor 2.
Yeah.
But maybe Iron Man 3, maybe even Iron Man 2. I
Yeah.
mean, I think you have to have Iron Man because that's
Yeah.
where
Iron
this
Man
all
was
starts.
that's
Yeah.
But then I
yeah.
bet you they skip Hulk.
Yeah. Iron Man will probably be the first one.
It's
that's-
probably going to be the origin story. So you're going to have Iron
Mhm.
Man, Cap, and Thor, and then straight to Avengers.
Yeah.
And then from there, anywhere where there's a mention of a stone. And
Yeah.
so Guardians as well will have to be in there.
that
Oh
would
yeah,
make
the
sense.
the very first. Yeah, Guardians Volume 1. Because I don't think Volume 2 didn't really.
I bet you they may include Guardians too, just because
It's newer, maybe.
It advances
Probably.
their story along before they show up, so
New
you know where they're
Spider-Man,
at.
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
They might even
They
show
might.
Spider-Man: Homecoming just because it's Spider-Man. I mean, it's a popular character.
Yeah,
in
because
Marvel,
again, that
just-
was another great part of the trailer when Peter shows up and talks to Doctor Strange. Oh, we're using our code names. Huh? Okay.
Oh, by the way, I'm Spider-Man.
That was great.
That was a great.
Going
line.
back
Yeah.
to what you said about juggling all the egos, I kind of wonder if they're even going to bring Guardians to Earth before the third act. So I think
Well,
you're going to see
that first teaser trailer, again, the way that they put them in towards the end of the trailer, almost as like a post-trailer trailer,
Yeah.
like makes you think that because they weren't.
Well,
in
that first trailer made me
Yeah.
think that they weren't even going to get to Earth in the first film,
Right.
and they might just be teased throughout to say like they're going
Yeah.
to come in and save the day in the second one. This
Yeah.
clearly shows a lot more that
It does.
we're going to see them fighting alongside everyone else.
Yeah.
But it also does make it look like this is third act stuff, or at least mid movie on, which I don't think a whole lot will happen in space. They're gonna. I think Loki's dead. Thor gets thrown out of the ship, and Hulk as well, because Hulk smashes into the house. So they find Thor, and then that's probably where we're gonna get all of the backstory on who Thanos is from Gamora. She's gonna, Thor's gonna be like, "Who's this guy?" She's gonna tell him the story while all this stuff is happening on Earth, and they're gonna be journeying there. And I think that we won't get them all together till probably the heroes get beaten in the second act.
Yeah.
And then I think you're going to see all these little sects. You're going to have Wakanda. You're going to have the Guardians in space. You're going to have Tony's people, and it won't be till they come together that they're able to defeat him. But I think we're definitely going to see some losses.
Yeah, just they're all ruined. Oh, that was a good reference. For anybody who's read the Infinity Gauntlet, there's the opening scene. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. I'm sorry. Before I go on that, is I found it very interesting that the very opening voiceover in that trailer by Gamora sounded very eerily similar to Nick Fury and his whole thing about uniting the Avengers.
Interesting.
I saw that tone. Plus, also, I noticed that the beginning shot of the city of I think New York is upside down and twisted as if something evil is going to happen. That same shot was very similar to how Killmonger in Black Panther also started the scene
You're
upside
right.
down.
I remember that. Yeah.
Into that as well too. So I thought
Yeah.
that was a nice little.
It is.
I don't know if that was intentional, but I just thought it
Could
was
be.
just an interesting
Yeah, it's very
kind of way
similar.
of looking at the films.
Yeah,
So-
no, it was very well shot and well edited. Fantastic trailer, and super stoked for that film. So moving on to our final topic.
I just have a question for you before we move on.
one more thing.
We were guessing about if anyone's going to exit this film, if there's going to be deaths.
Oh, yeah.
What about anyone coming back? Do you guys predict Red Skull coming back or no?
Coulson.
I asked
wish.
specifically about Red Skull.
I want Coulson to come back. That's
I wish they'd have like a post credits at least with him, but I don't think they will.
They've been hinting that he will reunite with the Avengers, but they don't want to say how yet. So I'm thinking the next Avengers movie.
And
Maybe at the very end or something.
Yeah.
that's our segue into
There
The
we
next
go.
topic.
There we go.
Shield.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so me and Lauren here are the experts, so to speak, on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. right now. And, yeah, going on that topic about what we were discussing about Coulson, Jeff Loeb, the head of Marvel TV, stated that, and even Clark Gregg said that, Coulson might reveal his existence in a very unique way, either on the television show or you might even be able to see it on screen. I don't know how that's going to work out. But this past episode, Lauren, share with your thoughts on last night's episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I loved it. I mean, I thought I just loved all the humor in it. I mean, it's a Marvel thing, but I just
I thought after this was kind of interesting that this was episode 101, so it's kind of like Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. 101, the 101st episode, but the 13th episode of this season. We are totally seeing some different arcs. We are still leaving off from the 100th episode, where the agents have now just come back and are trying to close this rift, and Fitz was able to kind of close off that rift a little bit, because it's part of this rift is causing like a fear dimension and having past characters come back. And one of the characters that we do see back, interestingly enough, is not part of that fear dimension, but is in the current times where the agents are alive right now, is Alex von Strucker,
oh yeah,
who is the son of Baron
yes.
von Strucker, who was one of the leaders of Hydra as well too. So that has a totally different arc in story building with General Hale. General Hale, if you don't know, is the character that's playing the mother of Ruby. And Ruby right now has a totally interesting character. I don't know what do you Ruby being played by Dove Cameron, who is from, I believe, The Descendants. Correct me if I'm wrong, for anybody who's
I'll
listening.
look up while you continue to talk.
Yeah, I think she was from The Descendants, if I'm not mistaken. Keep it within the Disney
I
family.
was going to say the band or the Disney show?
The show. And I think she has some agenda going on. I don't know, but her relationship.
Well, we still
with
don't know what Hale's agenda is.
That's
we don't
exactly
know what
right.
she's up to. Yeah.
Well, the agents are suspecting that, she has more gravitonium in her possession, and the agents the team is trying to find a way to seal that rift into finding out. Okay, we can close this fear dimension and the rift if we use more gravitonium. And this is almost tying everything into from season 1, even Agent Carter, when gravitonium was kind of first discovered.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Right.
Season 2, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And the different types of dimensions that can be played around. This is again mentioning time, and we're still bringing in some themes about time and space and time and time continuum issues. Space-time continuum. That's what
There you
I'm
go.
trying to say.
And she was.
Okay, Descendants.
Yeah.
I was right. Okay. That was in relation to Duff Cameron.
She played Mal in those.
There we go.
Yeah.
She played Mal. So she plays a dangerous she plays a relatively dangerous character. I mean, she chopped off
Yo-Yo's arms.
Yo-Yo's
I
arms.
know.
That was sad. That was a very ominous prediction. 'cause
Going
it
off
was
of that, though, I actually really enjoyed the scene between Coulson and Yo-Yo when they're talking
Yes.
about the prosthetics. Yeah.
Yes. Even what I loved about this is that Yo-Yo's character hasn't changed
I know.
a bit. Like, okay, she gets her arm chopped off, yet she still has some sass. And it's funny that we have the Fitzsimmons relationship, who are obviously married now. And they call
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, they're
Whoops.
married now. for all the Fitzsimmons shippers are like, woo, and this has been
So
building up for a
is
long
it
time.
Mr. and Mrs. Fitzsimmons?
But they call each other. That's funny. They call each
Actually.
other husband, and then Ian calls Elizabeth Henstridge wife.
What do they say, like,
in the
Simmons
episode,
Fitz or
wifey.
something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was funny that they even had, I guess, a nod to the
Mhm.
fans and the ship relationship between both of them by kind of reversing the hashtag Fitzsimmons ship into saying Simmons Fitz. So that was just a funny nod, and this is what the show is all about. It's like kind of a nod basically
Mhm.
to all the fans. Deke finally. Oh, what I was gonna say is I'm sorry, backtracking on what I was gonna
Ruby.
say about Mac and Yo-Yo's relationship. I feel like they're the married couple on this show. The way that they interact is almost as if they were married, but they're not. They're not married.
They act that way though.
But they act like they're a couple, and they kind of tease each other jokingly back and forth with, Yo-Yo obviously with the loss of her hands, and Mac saying some type of smart aleck comment. She says to him, if I had hands, I would strangle
Mhm.
you right now. Like that would be something said in a committed relationship, or at least some type of intimate relationship, so to speak. So it was interesting to see that, but I think one of the funniest scenes was Coulson being Coulson. Excuse me. There's this friend of Mac, who appears in this episode, and he refers to Mac, played by the very humble, very just really cool guy Henry Simmons, who refers to Mac as Mac Hammer, and his friend is referred to as Candyman. Now it seems kind of odd, like, okay, there's this odd character who just comes in and refers to each other that way. Obviously we know then that means that they've had some history together. But later on in that episode, they're on this ship. The agents, who was it? It was Mac.
Which ship? The flying.
The flying ship
Okay.
that nobody apparently sees. I have to
Oh,
talk
it's
about. I have to
invisible
mention
to-
that. I have
I did
that
not-
floating that
okay.
floating boat.
Oh, the floating boat.
The
okay.
floating boat, which has a source of gravitonium in there, which I think General Hale has some ties to General Hale because they were trying to hide the gravitonium in there. And Mac has a suitcase where he tries to, close up capture the gravitonium, and then Coulson says, "You can't touch this." Like it was a joke about him being called Mac Hammer, which is a nod to
remember that.
MC
MC
Hammer.
Mhm.
You can't touch this, and then Coulson just says, "Sorry, I couldn't resist," which is a classic Coulson line. I mean, that's just something, even with the response of fans, and Mac himself is like, "We've got no time for this, Phil." Like that was just a classic line. So I think that was just actually a pretty cool on the writers to just have Coulson be natural. Here he is, dying, on his way to death. All the rest of the agents know about this already. He is about to die, and he still has his humor intact.
Nothing
and he mentioned that,
changes.
yeah, he does,
Nope.
and he acknowledges that, yeah, I might be dying, but I'm still here, and that's just strictly Coulson being Coulson. He still wants to be the leader of the team. He still has to make sure that he's in some type of role in leadership to not let that little aspect of him come to some type of
And going
failure.
back on that, speaking of him dying again, didn't that happen in the Avengers too when he was stabbed?
yeah.
Hey Loki, yeah, he made
Yeah,
a witty
that
comment
was
or
that was
something.
Yeah.
that's and then that was Nick Fury's experiment that got him healed with
Mhm.
With Kree blood, and that deal with Ghost Rider that we saw actually finalized in the 100th episode when he became Ghost Rider, that actually burned off from him, and he's just kept it a secret for a long time that yes, he's dying. So it was interesting to see that. But overall in the episode, what I am interested in seeing is like what is Ruby's agenda, because she's all of a sudden trying to seduce Alex von Strucker to kind of side with her because she has a very almost rivalry relationship with her mother, General Hale. So going forth on that, I think we might not. We'll see probably how that plays out. How maybe there's some ties to Hydra again. We don't know. I mean, what else do you see coming out of any of the story arcs from this past episode?
I don't know. I was telling you earlier, I see her as a victim because of the relationship with her mother, kind of being used. I don't know. Maybe they're going to try to escape. Maybe she's trying to get friends to help her get out of where she is. I don't really know. It'll be interesting to see what's going on with that story arc there with Hale and Ruby.
Yeah, what else do you see about that relationship? Because that is an interesting relationship too between Ruby and her mom. Like, what else? You mentioned that she's abused. Do you think that's gonna even just push her even more to just push back against her mother, or do you think they're possibly gonna have some type of common ground where they're gonna rekindle in that relationship between mother and daughter?
It's hard to tell right now what's going on. I feel like they each have their own agenda almost, and whether or not it's gonna like tie in together or whether something's gonna explode and they're gonna branch off, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
I
just thought, going back to the floating ship, I was live tweeting last night on the episode, and one of the discussions was, okay, there's a floating boat in the sky. How could not any this is probably the only qualm I probably have about the episode. How could any ship, or I mean any plane, jetliner, any military jet come up on those scanners not be able to detect that ship or see it on a flyby?
They've shown cloaking technology in Avengers stuff before. I don't remember if it was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. if it was in the films, but weren't the Triskelions able to cloak, I think?
Not the Triskelion, but the helicarrier.
Yeah, helicarrier, sorry.
Yeah, they were able to cloak, but this particular ship, which obviously has some possible Hydra background, was just out there in the open. And it was just so weird for me to see, like, how you're trying to put some realism behind it, and you just see a floating ship.
Like the Flying Dutchman or something.
Oh,
it just
yeah.
looked like some ghost ship in the air. It was so weird.
Yeah, it was literally like a ghost ship. And
Phil drove a flying car in the first episode. You can't look for realism.
That's cool. That's cool. That one I can believe. That's shield tech for you.
What are they
That's
saying in the
definitely-
episode too is like, we've seen all this before, like this should shock me, but it does. Or somebody said that. I can't remember who said that.
Yeah, there was something about that. I just consider that Phil's land speeder. So with all the Star Wars references that, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has brought us, I just found it funny that would be, if Phil was a Jedi, that would be his version of a land speeder, and which is an interesting sight to see in the very first pilot episode, or I think second episode rather. But yeah, I was really intrigued by this episode. I really want to see how far it gets. How far are the agents willing to go to gather some more gravitonium? The relationship furthering between Deke, and he now understands that that Fitz and Simmons are his grandparents, which he at the end of the show, Fitz is like, aren't you gonna come along with me to Deke? And Deke is like, okay, sure, Gramps. Like, I thought that was a funny line. So there's acknowledgement now that Deke has acknowledged that, oh my gosh, I have this connection with y'all, and this is going to be a weird relationship. But we're going to see down the road how Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to progress from here on out. The story arcs, Ruby, General Hale, and their search for gravitonium. So we'll see how that all plays out.
Super, super intriguing.
I need to
stuff.
get caught up.
I know.
After I finish
you guys
Jessica
are making me want to get caught up, but it's gonna. I have like 100 episodes
I know,
to get
right?
caught up on.
I left off at the end of last season, which I liked
Yeah.
what they were doing last year with the framework, because it
Oh
reminded
my
me
God,
of
that was
this
a great
movie from the
season.
It was really
80s
good.
where people got sucked into a computer simulation called Tron.
Oh no! Right when we thought we were safe.
And with that, we are about running out of time tonight for this episode of Geek Radio. Keep watching the stream. A podcast about anime is coming up next, and we want to remind everyone that next week we're going to be having a special episode of Geek Radio, as well as the Hall of Feed and podcast about anime. We're all doing it all together at WonderCon,
Yes.
which is in Anaheim.
For those of you also still tuned in, weather permitting and no obstructions getting in the way.
We'll do it from inside a car if we have to.
Yeah, pretty
We're
much.
gonna make it happen.
In regards to this upcoming Monday, I'll probably be doing some live streaming on our Instagram account at KPFK Geek Radio. I can't even say our name. And just give you guys some updates on Star Wars Land, aka Galaxy's Edge.
Awesome.
As well as some of the progress towards Pixar Pier. Maybe some food pictures around as well too. So stay tuned on KPFK Geek Radio on our Instagram account, live or Facebook. I'll announce that later on. But yeah, stay tuned for WonderCon as we go live there next week.
For sure. And plugging our social media quick, I'm on Twitter at Seek3PO.
Twitter and Instagram at Patrick on the mic.
Twitter and Instagram at ThatOneNerdRon.
And I'm Freedom Not Fate.
And this awesome beat is Josiah Kavanaugh's. Make sure you check out his AP. Just search Artificial Paradise. That's Artificial Paradise. And you can find his EP. It's really awesome. And we also want to give special thanks to Claire, who is managing everything in the booth. So we're out of here.
Give it up, Claire.
Stay tuned for a podcast about Anime the Podcast. Until then, keep on geeking on.